Let's get this party started.
You have a boring day job, but you really want to rock out. This is your tribe. This is Soundwaves TMI.
Hey, here it is, everybody. Soundwaves TMI. Stephen Kirk here with Dennis Willis, Chasta, and hey, look down to the end of the table. There's Joe Hawk.
There is, everybody.
Hey, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For the uninitiated, Joe Hawk is one of our many hosts on Soundwaves TV, joining us for the first time on the podcast.
Yeah.
It is your first time, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a fun one this week, actually, because Chasta's got an amazing interview, but we're going to set it up. But that interview kind of introduces the idea of legacy and what lives beyond us, because the interview is with Savoy Brown, a legendary blues act, but the gentleman who started the band 60 years ago has recently passed on, but the band is going to continue.
Yeah.
And that got all of us talking about, like, first of all, that whole other question about, you know, bands living on beyond and should they and everything, and how long Kiss is going to be here into the 25th century. But, but the legit idea of what does live beyond its creator.
Yeah, you know, it was an interesting conversation because it comes down to maybe what that person wanted when they were alive. I mean, that's part of the question you need to ask yourself, I think. Right. You know, did they want it to die with them? Screw you guys, I'm going out, it's going out with me. Screw you guys, I'm going home. So you have to ask yourself that. And then, you know, what will it be without that person? Are you creating new music? Because in this case, he's such a part of it. He is Savoy Brown. What will it sound like without his work down the line? So I think that would be a really emotional decision to make, but also really tough personally to decide what to do with that. I mean, in this case, he worked with Savoy Brown until basically his deathbed. You'll hear me talk about that in the interview. I mean, he was in the hospital listening to like final mixes.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's dedication.
You know, I always joke about, like, if I were a rock star, I would die on stage. I would do it until I literally took my last breath. That's exactly what he did. Wow. How cool is that? I mean, to be able to do that. So this interview was really interesting. It was for a few reasons. I was also talking to the two fellas in the back seat of, I think, a tour bus or a van or a something right before they were going on stage.
Right.
So in the middle of the interview, we get interrupted because somebody opens the door like, hello, you got to go on stage.
Oh, that's great.
It was just a different kind of interview than had ever happened. And it was on a phone. So they were like sitting on top of each other, trying to squish into the frame. So anyway, it's entertaining.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, and the question kind of is, and we've touched on this a little bit before, when original band members leave and the rest of the band keeps going on, like Oingo Boingo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Without Danny Elfman.
Right.
You know, how much is that one person responsible for the sound, the feel, the content?
Yeah.
Are you just taking that person out of the mix and then playing all their stuff and making money going out on tour? Or are you creating new stuff that's in the same vein and all that? And yeah, when somebody passes on, you want that music that they've created to be able to go on. Yeah. You know, and are you doing it because you just want to put asses in the seats and make money? Or are you championing the legacy of the music that was created? Because some of the stuff does deserve to live on and to continue, as opposed to just being, oh, well, okay, well, he's dead, so we're just going to move on.
Right.
I mean, that's why we have classical music. That's why we have music from the 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, everything from the past still comes back and is reinterpreted by new artists, or you drop the needle on the old record from back in the day.
And actually, this is, I learned from my dad back in the days. He was a big jazz nut, a big band guy.
Yeah.
And so, like, you'd have like the Glenn Miller Orchestra, but Glenn Miller dies. But the Glenn Miller Orchestra went on for 40 years.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Keeping the name and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You bet.
There are several examples of that. I mean, I don't know if we want to play Savoy Brown's interview first and then really get into it, because we should talk about Gary Rossington. I mean, most recently, that's a big key point for Leonard Skinner. The last original member is no longer with us. What does that mean? But it's different with Skinner, because a lot of the members that are currently in Skinner have also been in there for decades.
Sure.
So they're kind of just as much Skinnered as anyone else. So where's that line?
And they're also saying that they're going out on top. I was like, but they're like another one of the bands, like, when are they going to finally end?
And I hope never.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like a family business almost, though.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Leonard Skinner and Sons, kind of
Right.
thing.
And grandsons and grandsons.
And generationally, you bring on the next generation that comes up and carries on the legacy and moves on. So something like that, I can get behind. I can understand that, because if you're part of that, even if it's a small part at the beginning of your journey, by the time these people start to drop off, this is the new generation of that same band, that same sound and everything. So I can kind of get behind that. It really kind of depends if that's why they're doing it, though. For me,
I like that better than I like Gene Simmons, the way that he framed Kiss. Like I look at Skynyrd as a legacy and like a family and almost a musical heritage.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because that was a band I was raised with. So it makes me think of my parents and grandparents and all that. But Kiss is more of a brand. That's a brand.
Right.
So you can put makeup on any talented musician and go, you're Kiss. That's like two different concepts. Is one bad? Not necessarily, but it's a different motivator.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different time now. I think Gene Simmons, I hate to say it, was ahead of his time when he started positioning Kiss as a brand, because I think now that's how everybody gets into the game.
Yeah.
Like 21st Century is you're thinking about the brand more.
Everyone has
Whereas
their own brand.
I like your version about, I mean, it becomes a family. Like when Genesis, Phil Collins' son was the drummer. And you look at the Stones, there's what, 2 left, when Charlie died, or 3 left. There's 3 left.
Yeah, there's 3 left.
Yeah. But when Charlie died, they just brought in another drummer, and they're going to continue on. They continue their tour. Is that crass? Is that business? Is it honoring the legacy of this 60-year-old thing?
Yeah.
Well, Cheap Trick is kind of the same thing too, because Bun E. Carlos hasn't played with the band for, a couple of decades now, and Dax Nielsen came in to take over, and he's been with the band for a long time, and that's the band and everything. But that's one of those things too. Bun decided that he wasn't going to be part of that, going on the tour, doing the thing anymore. He's still, cashing the checks that he gets from being a part of the original band and everything. And it's, for me personally, as a kind of a purist, I love Cheap Trick, and I will go see him every chance I get. But there's still that part of me that goes, it's 3/4 Cheap Trick.
You know what's interesting? U2 has this residency, and the drummer's not playing.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's the first time in 40 odd years that those 4 guys have broken apart.
Yeah.
Man, there's some hate online for U2 right now. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know
Have you
either.
noticed that?
No, I don't know either.
It's weird.
One,
It's
I'm
like,
not the biggest U2 fan. I just
apparently there are a lot of people that feel that way. Because I've always liked U2. Have they ever been in my top 5 favorite bands? No, but I respect what they do.
Yeah, sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they're really drumming up some hate comments recently, and I haven't
Did
really
they
figured out
secretly,
why.
send everybody a new
I
single
know.
like they did back in
Man, that was the
damn it,
worst
again?
mistake.
Oh, my
You get free music, and it caused so much hate.
that you didn't want.
I mean, you would never think that would be such a
I know,
problem,
right,
But it
yeah.
turned into such a thing.
It did, because you couldn't delete it.
That's
That
why.
was the thing. Like, you go, yeah, that's interesting, that's weird. You go try to delete it, and it's like, no, you're not authorized to do that.
You're like,
now it's to another level.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
This time it's
true.
personal.
Oh my god, my wife somehow found her old iTunes library, and we were listening through it, like, oh my god, you were so angsty as a teen. then that song came up, and skip, and then it came up 3 more times in the rotation.
Right.
I don't even remember what song that
I
was, to
don't
be totally
remember
honest with
either.
you. I mean, I kind of stopped with U2 in the early 2000s, I think.
Same.
For
Like,
some
they had
reason.
that really great album in 2005,
Yeah.
the Atomic Bomb album with
Yeah.
Not Even Beautiful Day. That was before it, but
Yeah.
Vertigo? Was it
Yeah.
Vertigo?
That's a great
That was a
song.
killer song.
Killer song.
And it's like, all of a sudden, it was just like, yes, 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 I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
That exact same thing happened to me, and I have no idea why. It was just like, okay, it's like they all died in my life, and it's just like, we will never see more U2 ever
I don't know,
again.
maybe it's a U2 curse or something, because you get to that point and it stops, and now all of a sudden everybody's all hating on U2.
They are. And by the way, this Sphere thing in Las Vegas where they're playing, have you seen that?
Oh,
The big
massive.
ball.
Yeah.
It's like a big ball stadium.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's called the
for
Sphere.
them?
It's a new place.
Oh,
They're
okay.
basically
Okay.
opening it, or whatever you want to call it. I guess so. The first one, they're kicking it off.
Okay.
And the Super Bowl commercials what I didn't see the Super Bowl, but I saw this commercial, was super cool. I mean, it's the sphere sort of, floating around, and it's U2 and it's all this cool stuff. And I thought, wow, it's well done. And it was just not
I did not
well
put
perceived.
2 and U2 together. So
2 and U2.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, I want to go to it. The concept, I guess, of the venue is it's like a ball. It's like a sphere. I mean, that's what it's called. It looks really neat. It's something different, I think.
So hopefully not a bad seat in the house if it's just a giant round.
Except for, and this may be an unpopular opinion, we're kind of going off the tracks here, but Chase Center. I'm not crazy about the setup of the Chase Center because I feel like I'm going to fall to my death at any moment because it is so straight
little
up.
too soon from the previous falling to death.
Yeah, I mean, truly though, because if you've had a couple beers and you're way up there, it's freaking steep.
Yeah. Dude, the first time I was there, when we went to Metallica, we stepped out I was like, oh my God. It was like one of those, like in Nepal, those staircases. So you see, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
SAP Center is just as bad too.
Really?
Oh, the upper level?
Is it like that too?
It's pretty steep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have claustrophobia, it's not, because when you sit, the next seat is just bumped up right against
your knee. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
Yeah, me being a smaller guy, I'm not so bad about it, but I can imagine Baby Huey's got to shitting bricks when
he can only go there if he gets a suite.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
Which they are sweet, I'll tell you that.
The suites are sweet at the Chase Center. I will. Yeah, you're right on that. Anyway, sorry to derail.
Well, before we get into the interview,
we got all over the place on that, didn't we?
Holy shit! I'm going to drive us back on the road.
There we go.
So Joe Hawk was doing some killer research before we started the show about legacy, and I think the ultimate legacy is not only just living beyond us, but living beyond our solar system. Sending what music we choose to say, hey, aliens, this is what we've got going on. And it was kind of a great list.
Yeah, that golden disc that they sent out years ago. We were talking off air, what was on there, and
that's on the Voyager spacecraft.
Yeah, the Voyager spacecraft, and they have all the classics, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, but Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good is on there, and actually it drummed up a lot of controversy because people were saying rock is too adolescent.
And we say, fuck off.
Yeah. Right. Carl Sagan's like, screw you, I'm putting it on there.
Have you met Earth?
Right. We need a good representation of what's going on down here if the aliens are
honestly,
coming.
Johnny B. Good is such a great representation.
Chuck Berry is a very good representative to put up there.
Yeah,
I mean, man, that would be an interesting topic altogether if you put your space capsule together. Oh, I love this podcast topic.
Yeah.
If you had your own space capsule of music, what would you put on it?
Oh, okay, we'll say. We'll
right?
table that. We'll save
I know.
that.
Someone write that down before I forget it.
Coming up on Soundwaves TMI.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Fuck that island playlist thing.
Right?
No, this is a thing that's going to be, when the Earth is nothing but a cinder.
Exactly.
And there's nothing left. Your music is going to be out there, and aliens are going to be going.
Yeah. Only thing left, but Island Boys.
Still floating around out there.
All right, so let's set this up. This is great. This is Chasta's interview with Savoy Brown, and like I said, fascinating story, and they're on tour now.
Yeah,
they're already back on stage with somebody else.
Yeah, they're moving on. So when you listen to this, just imagine that you're in the back seat of a tour bus with us.
Okay,
and you'll slide right in. It'll be a good time.
Beautiful.
Chasta here. You're watching Soundwaves TV, and I'm so excited to have essentially the rhythm section, if you will, of Savoy Brown on with me. Hello, Pat and Garnet. How are you guys? Where are you guys is a better question.
We're in Sarasota, Florida. We're about to play a gig with the Sean Chambers Band, so we're getting ready to work.
Yep, that is amazing. Are you guys in your bus, in a van? It looks like you're cozy in the back seat somewhere.
No, yeah, we're in a Bentley. We're in our Ferrari.
Perfect. I have to tell you, this is the first interview I've done with anybody in a Bentley. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So this is very cool. I'm quite honored that you're carving out time for me right before you hit the stage. This is really cool. So welcome to Soundwaves TV. You guys, you already know, but I'm sure you're humble enough. You were legends in the blues rock world. I am a big blues fan. And Savoy Brown has been around since the mid 60s. You guys have played with Kim since when? Early to mid 90s?
Well, I'll let Pat start that one because Pat met Kim a little bit before I did, and Pat is pretty much responsible for getting me in there on the drum throne. So I'll let Pat start that.
Yeah, we started playing, recording with Kim in 2009. We did an acoustic record.
1999.
1999.
I was going to say, it's been longer than that, right?
It has been. Yeah, 1999. But I've known Kim since the late 80s. We were friends.
Okay.
And we struck up a relationship. But he knew at that time I had a family I was starting and a job. So he, but one day he did come over to my house and he just said, was asking me about touring, and I just couldn't do it at that point.
Yeah.
And anyways, what had happened is, not to wander on this, but Jerry got sick, the bass player, and I wound up doing a short West Coast tour. Actually, we went to San Francisco and LA. We were all over the place. And when I came back, he asked me to join the band. And what we're trying to do is we wanted to rehearse more. And the drummer was from New York City at that time. So Garnet got in the band and we started, that's history from there.
Yeah. So Pat, and when I met Kim, it was around, I was invited by a mutual friend to do some recording with Kim that had nothing to do with Savoy Brown. It ended up for a solo project. So when I went in the studio that day, this guy was there, and we ended up doing some playing together, and we ended up all becoming friends, and also Kim ended up with acoustic record called Blues Like Midnight. So a couple of good things came out of that day. And like Pat said, it wasn't until sometime later that we actually got to join the band. And during the time that Pat was trying to get into shape to play that tour that he was telling you about, I basically learned the material so I could rehearse with Pat, and we would go out to Kim's place and rehearse the set. So, so it just we kind of fell into it was easy to fall into a groove since we were all friends anyway. So that was the beginning. I don't know, that was about almost 14 years ago, I think 2009, and took us all the way to present. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's one of the coolest things I think about music. And there's so many cool things about music. It's the universal language. But sometimes I think it brings brotherhoods and sisterhoods together. It's like the universe has already worked it out way up here, and then somehow music brings humans together to make that kind of magic. And I really think that's the case for all of you guys. And I do want to say wholeheartedly, I'm sorry for your loss. Anyone in the blues world knows Kim Simmonds, and if you don't know, he was the creator of Savoy Brown back in the '60s. Came over from across the pond, and has just created so much music. I don't even know how many albums. My guess would be somewhere past 30. But so much music.
42.
Past 42, around 42?
Just with Savoy, and then another 5 solo records, I believe.
That's incredible. I mean, what a legacy. But Kim passed, I believe, in December. So my condolences to you guys, because you lost a musical brother, but also a friend, and I'm sure this has been difficult, to say the least, on a personal and professional level. But what I will say is congratulations on being a part of the last moment of a musician, and to play up until the very end, to do it till the very end. That's incredible. And how does it feel for you guys to be a part of that magic?
Well, I think it's huge to be a part of that legacy. I mean, I think that, Kim was someone who, if he wanted to, he could talk all day to you about, the musicians he played with, and how he was on the cutting edge of rock and roll in the 60s and
Absolutely.
70s, and the careers he helped launch.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to tell you, when you talk to him personally, he was just pretty much, a humble spirit. And
we're doing an interview right now.
He was a humble spirit and had some English sensitivity.
Okay, we're playing
so he was. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's quite all right. I've been backstage at many a festival, many a show. I know how it goes. It's all good.
So, I mean, he had some English humility and reserve, and you really wouldn't know if you met him on the street that you were talking to this creative giant, you know?
Right. Oh, that's
so. Yeah, I mean, so for me, to be a part of that was humbling, you know, and I'm full of gratitude, but also sad because, you know, this creative giant is gone. So he silenced the voice, and he wrote a lot of music. This guy, and he was a good painter too, by the way. If you
I know, absolutely beautiful work.
Yeah.
Garnet, how do you feel about being a part of this legacy and being able to do something so intimate with somebody before they pass? I mean, that's something special that not everyone gets to experience.
Well, you mean Pat? Oh yeah, it was.
Or I said humbling. Pat. I'm sorry, I said Garnet.
Yeah, okay. It was very humbling. It was. I was very lucky to be able to play with him, and it helped me grow as a musician quite a bit. So, and we got to travel the world, and I always said we always had the best seat in the house.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. I can only imagine that is the truth. I have always been a huge blues fan since I was a little girl. I was raised on blues and jazz and country because I'm from Southern Oklahoma. And so my family would go way back and dig into the real good stuff, right? Where it began. Where are some of your favorite places to play and or to see blues? I'm a big fan of New Orleans. That may be a leading question.
Well, New Orleans is definitely a cool place. But you know, I mean, the good thing about blues is it's pretty hearty music, and it's being played all around the world. I have to say, for me personally, with Kim, I mean, I enjoyed our trips to Europe. The European fans are very. They're very good.
They're enthusiastic, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're very enthusiastic. They show up. They're not, to me anyway. They don't seem to be very fickle. You know, they like you. They like you. They're going to show up. You know, they don't care about the flavor of the month. You know, whoever that may be. They just like it. The bands they like. So. Yeah, if you go over there and you tour and you work hard, you get a fan base. I mean, they come out to see you. So that's some of my favorite places to play. So,
What about you?
I always like playing the Iridium in New York City. That was always a real good venue. And we got to do some great festivals over the years. And I don't know. I'm thinking. There's so many places. It isn't really the venue. It's the moment when you're playing and the crowd is enthusiastic. You know, you've done your job at that point. Yeah. So when you're playing a show, it could be anywhere. We've played like the Surf Ballroom. We played some pretty iconic venues over the years.
Sure.
And it's just the people make the evening. You know, and that's our job is to take them away for a while and give them some great music.
That's one of the reasons I think I've loved blues so much is that it's one of the genres of music that I feel like I'm comfortable just putting on an album and letting it play. I know what I'm going to get. It's like comfort food. It's comfort for the soul, right? It's not going to take any crazy turns on me. It's going to be soulful. It's going to tell me a story. And that's why I think I love seeing it live so much is I'll grab a drink and you just like get to a place, get cozy and experience it. I mean, so as a fan of you guys and your music, thank you for that experience because it is one of the magical moments of life, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. If I could, I'd like to ask people to check out the new record. Go to the Savoy Brown website, please. There's a lot of information there. You can get history of the band. You can get Kim's music and his artwork.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention that before we end our interview, that's a good place to go to find out more about the band if you don't know about the band.
Yeah.
Now, Chasta, are you a musician at all?
I'm not. I'm married to a professional drummer, though. And we own a music center. I'm a smart girl.
Right.
The Garnet approves.
You're right.
Yeah, so it's I have the kind of musical conversations. Now I'm not a musician, so I only know from a consumer point, and I've played rock and roll on the radio for 20 years, so there's that. But I have the very intense conversations about snare sounds and things like that. So sometimes I feel like I'm one, but not quite. I missed the boat on that, unfortunately. But rock and roll is all we do. I'm a rock and roll DJ. I run a radio station. We own a music center. He's a drummer. So that's, without rock and roll, there's not much to us, to be quite frank with you.
Wow, cool.
Do you ever get a chance to go to Yoshi's?
Oh, sure. We love Yoshi's. Yeah, absolutely.
There was a nice place to play too. The people there were really good. Always had a good crowd there.
That's an iconic place here in the Bay for sure.
Yeah.
We played your new album has what's that?
We played the one in Oakland mainly.
Yeah. Your new album, Blues All Around, only been out 2 weeks, maybe, or 3 weeks, something like that. And of course, this is the final album after Kim's passing. So I want to make sure everyone goes and finds that and goes straight to the website. You can get it on all the streaming platforms and all of that as well. But I'm a big fan of physical music. I still like a good vinyl.
Yeah, vinyls were
Yeah, you'll rip my vinyl out of my cold dead hands. I always say. But there really is something magical about having that full experience. So SavoyBrown.com. But I know you guys have to get on stage, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I do have one more question. And it's really pertinent for you two, because we're talking about legacy, especially after Kim's passing. And I always ask this question at the end of my interviews, but I feel like it's a real poignant one here. And it's from the movie Almost Famous. Have you guys ever seen that movie from the late 90s?
Yes.
Okay. So in the last frame of that film, the question is asked, what do you love about music? And the pause is part of the answer, because it's a heavier question than it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I think it's different for different people. If you ask fans, they're going to give you a different answer than you're going to get from me. I mean, for me, it's how you're connecting the music to that, with them, with the fan. So if there's nothing better than if you've made a connection, an emotional connection with an audience, that's a cool thing. But there's also, from a musician standpoint, there's the interior process where, the three of us are on stage with Kim, for example. I mean, there were times where you weren't quite sure where it was going and where it was going to end. The solo sections were often ad lib sections. It wasn't, they weren't planned out. So we were just playing off of each other. So that's a whole different kind of emotion, you're feeling. So,
but again, that's one of the most beautiful things about blues, might I add.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very cathartic.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking people and yourselves basically on a journey where they, you're just going someplace and you're probably never going to see that place or hear that place or whatever, any sensation ever again.
Yeah.
It's usually once it's there and it's gone.
Yeah, it's just a moment in time.
Yep.
Oh, now see, that's why I asked that question, because you never get the same answer twice. And I absolutely love that. One day, I swear I'm going to take all these answers from all these years and put them back to back to back so that we can just have sort of a story of what music means to people, because it gives me goosebumps every single time. Well, we mentioned, of course, that Kim passed, and God rest his soul. But that is one of the most magical things about music is once we're all dead and gone, you people who are musicians, you get to live on forever. I don't, but you do. People will be consuming your music forevermore. So congratulations for being immortal.
Yeah, thank you. I'm getting a new outfit tomorrow.
Well, you guys go hit the stage. Get out of the, what did we decide it was, a Bentley?
Yeah, we're in a Bentley.
Yes. Get out of the Bentley. Get on the stage. Do your thing. So yeah, I really loved those guys. They were super down. Like I said, I've interviewed people at festivals before, and that's a different vibe, but never in the back of a tour or the Lamborghini. Excuse me, they did say it was a Lamborghini.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It was a Lamborghini. I'm using air quotes.
okay.
Joe Hawk's so gullible.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we were all in the back seat of the car, which sounds different than
Sounds
I
very
wanted.
rock and roll.
It does sound very rock and roll. Jay, if you're listening.
We'll just leave it.
Jay, if you're listening, she still loves you.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to tell you that our 40th anniversary TV season is imminent. It's March 30th at 3 p.m. Check it out. If you don't catch it live, it's going to be just streaming on our website around the clock, and you could also watch it on demand at all the places, at soundwavestv.com, at 1077thebone.com, on our Roku channel at Soundwaves TV. We're very, very excited. Lots of fun stuff. We say this to set up the next TMI, because what happened was, you hear everybody? Check this out. So we did a thing on the show. We have a segment called The Mass Debate, because we're 14 years old, and we chew on a topic, and we thought, let's do this live in a bar while drinking in front of a crowd.
Bad idea.
And then we decided, hey, let's do a podcast because all the hosts are here.
Yeah.
And as soon as we introed the thing, it sounded like this.
I've only got one free hand. I'm holding
I know.
I got nothing.
Get us back on the rails. Pull us back on the rails. It is.
See,
it is.
So imagine that on drugs.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, no.
That's what you want? Is that what you want?
All
No
right,
one
so
wants that.
note to self.
No one's laughing
Nobody
anymore.
wants that.
Everyone's like, you got to shut more up.
And that's why this podcast is replacing that one. But we are going to salvage part of that for next time.
There is some good
There's some
in there.
really good stuff in there.
that you will be able to understand.
Yes, exactly.
We promise.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Adios.
Cheers to that.
Bye. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Soundwaves TMI, featuring Chasta, Stephen Kirk, and yours truly, Dennis Willis. The part of the announcer was played by Kelly Ogden. Please like and subscribe to Soundwaves TMI wherever you are listening from. Soundwaves TMI is presented in part by the Longboard Bar in Pacifica, California, a world-class music venue and neighborhood bar, all under one roof. Also, please consider helping us continue our mission of lifting and supporting independent music and the Bay Area music scene by becoming a Soundwaves patron. In exchange, you'll be the first to see and hear weekly shows such as Soundwaves TV, Soundwaves FM, and the Soundwaves TMI podcast, as well as exclusive content. Just go to patreon.com/SoundwavesTV. For all things Soundwaves, follow us on social media at Soundwaves TV, or just go to soundwavestv.com.